Yesterday, we talked about the sales math to use to start building your plan, structuring your plan to get to the number that you need to get to for your sales targets for a year. So the specific example we used is we said we've got a $1.2 million number, $1.2 million in sales. We said average deal size, 300K. We've got companies that are doing that. We've got some companies that are in the 100K range, and we've got some companies that are in the 50K range. All right, the math looks good on a board. If I get 4 companies at 300K, I get to the 1.2. I get 10 at the 100K, I get to the 1.2, and I get 12 at the 100K, I get to the 1.2, and I get 24 at the 50K. All right, that's well and good. Now let's take the math that helps us understand where we need to structure things and actually do some things around it to figure out how do we actually get those companies together. Well, one thing I want to understand is what's my typical conversion rate at each of these kind of deals. Maybe my conversion rate is for every 5 opportunities that I'm working on that are in that 300K range, I typically get 2, okay? So that's 40%. 40% in this area. Let's say that on the 100K side of things, for every 10 that I'm getting, at the 100K level, I usually get 2. So my number's more like 20% at this range. And then let's say at the 50K level, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's because it's a lower cost piece, but whatever it is, let's just say that I'm at 50%. 50%. So of the active opportunities that I'm working on, typically at any given point in time, I'm going to close 50% of the 50K, 20% of the 100K, and 40% of the 300K. Here's the reality. You should know what your numbers are. These should not be made up numbers. You should be able to go into your data and be able to determine. There's going to be some kind of like a feeling that you have. For me, on the enterprise side, I knew my number was 5. I knew that I had to be working on 5 large size deals in any given year. And my expectation was 2 of those were going to come together in any given year. If 3 came together, it was an awesome year. We might be doing something different. If 1 came together, I lived to fight another day. Okay. So those were my numbers, but your numbers are going to vary just like everybody else's, right? So get to know what your numbers are, split them up into those 3 categories, and then say, okay, what do I have enough in my pipeline created? Do I have enough in my pipeline to get me to where I need to be? So if we're talking about planning for next year and I need 4 300K deals and I typically close 2 out of every 5, I need to have 10 in my pipeline, right? Just working through the math. On this side, if I typically close 2 out of every 10, and I need to get 10 or 12 deals, I need to have 60 in my pipeline. Still working through it. I'm not going to do the math on the 50. It's a little bit early in the morning. It's 5:15 out here. I'm not going to work on that math right now, but these might be my numbers that I need to have in there. Now our sales cycles are going to be a little bit different here, right? So we didn't say we need them at the beginning of the year in order to get them done. I think yesterday we talked about maybe a 6 or 12 month sales cycle on these and maybe a 4-month sales cycle on these. Know your numbers, not the numbers that the organization spits at you. Your numbers. What are your specific numbers? When you operate as a rep, you manage your own territory. When you operate as a leader, you manage your own territory, your book of business. When you operate as a leader of teams inside an organization, you manage it like it's your own franchise. Know what your specific numbers are, not what somebody else's numbers are, and then test and validate against those numbers. I know this is a lot of math this early in the morning, but I think it's important for us to understand, okay, if we know that this is where it's going to come from, what needs to be true on this side in order to get us there. All right. Another piece I want to get into today, and we're going to build on this. This is the series for this week. It's about building a plan to get to that number that you need to get to, that number that you want to get to, whatever the number is. It could be a 100K number. It could be a $1.2 million number. It could be a $36 million number. The structure still works the same. I'm designing backward so I can execute forward. Identify next logical steps, start taking them, figure out what's working, and then put more time, energy, and attention into the thing that's working. Because in any given year, things are going to shift a little bit. The thing that's most important to me next is now making sure that I understand What needs to be true in an organization to make a 300K deal? Now let's just do that as an example. So what needs to be true for each of the 300K deals that I've got out there that I've closed, because that's my average deal size. In order for it to be my average deal size at that area, I have to have some data, right? So what do I know about those companies? Size of company, amount of revenue in that company, type of growth in that company, structure. What do I know about the details of this company so I can lay out my view of the type of companies that I need to, the 10 other companies I need to find to fit into that criteria? What do I know of my data? How much of that data is searchable in places? How much can I get of the data? How much can I get from public sources where I can pull information either from a sales navigator or from a Crunchbase or from any of these resources that are available to me? Size of organization, amount of revenue, growth, structure. What do I know about them? The next thing I want to know, this is at the company level, so I have some specific targets, right? That's at the 300K. Now, I'm going to do the same thing at the 100K level. Exact same thing. I'm going to want to know what's the size, typical size, how much money, what kind of growth, what kind of structure. I missed this in here, but what market? What's the specific market that we're serving? Does it change at the 300K level versus the 100K level? What industries are they at? This is going to help me understand the potential pool of accounts that I'm going to go after. If I need to have 10 opportunities, 10 real opportunities that I'm working on, I want to make sure I'm targeting 25 specific accounts. I want to have 25 named accounts that I'm working through to get to that number and just make that math work, make it work all the way through. And here's the cool thing about this. The 25 that you're working on today, although 10 of those may turn into opportunities and you may close 4 of them in the next 12-month period, you've already started working with them. So that they're going to carry on. At some point in time, if you've identified your right ICP, ideal customer profile from a business perspective, you will get to a point where now the pipeline work that you're doing right now helps you build for the future. Now you get that 2 to 3 years of pipeline, existing opportunities that you're working on. Where if you remember from yesterday when we talked about other ways that we get to the number, we had some existing opportunities and then we had new opportunities. And then those new opportunities were split into 3, 1, and 0.5. This all starts to build together to get to that revenue goal. This is easy to throw up on a whiteboard. It is hard to block time to go through the process and build this out for your own territory. If you're looking for help in this area, you know how to get a hold of me. You can book a clarity call. We can schedule some time. There's some coaching stuff that I do, both at an individual and team level. I do a lot of really good work when we're doing this at an organization level and breaking up into teams of teams. I'm happy to help you work through it. The math works when the math works. The challenge is getting people to sit down and start to work through the math. Hope you're enjoying this series about how to hit your sales targets. If you know somebody who would find value in this discussion, share it with them. If you have questions about it, share those with me. If you have comments, share those with everybody. Thanks, and have a great day.